Thank you everybody for coming along, and I hope you find this helpful if nothing else. I suppose over the last number of months, people's confidence has been hit a lot by the fact that they have been self-isolating, they have been at home. They got so used to being at home and within bubbles and within certain family groups that to go out again is a completely different thing. And one of the things I find as a practitioner is people coming to me at the moment is it's become a confidence issue as much as anything. So what I'd like to do briefly today is to begin to consider confidence. I mean, this is far from the last word in confidence, I assure you, and I struggle to keep this brief because there's so much that we could be going through. So you could nearly say this is the first of our confidence diaries that we can look at and consider for ourselves what it is to be confident. And I suppose that's the first question. How do you think about yourself? How do I think about me? When I think of myself, when I talk to myself in my head, and we all do this, and often we answer ourselves back, which is not a bad thing unless we disagree with ourselves. Do you think positively or negatively about yourself? And that's an important question for this reason alone. Our thoughts will always affect the way we feel and behave. If we don't feel confident, if we don't think confidently, we will not act confidently. It will show in how we behave. We'll pull back, we'll hide, we'll keep our heads down, we'll not participate in things. And that then impacts on how we think about ourselves, because then it becomes like a vicious circle, really, that we can't break out of. Where we live and where we work and our physical environment overall also has an impact on how we feel and how we look at ourselves and how we consider what we do. We have a habit, and it's a very Irish, it's a very Celtic thing actually, of thinking negatively about ourselves. We always go to the worst case scenario. If somebody pays us a compliment, our first thing is nearly to go, oh, well, sure, anybody could have done that. And in truth, probably not anybody could have done what you have done. But by going there, by thinking on the negative about yourself, if you've grown up learning to be negative about yourself, you'll be negative about yourself. If you've grown up being positive about yourself, you're more likely to go towards confidence and positivity. And you'll seek to then to achieve the result that you're looking for. But negative thinking can lead to low confidence and self-worth. We can devalue ourselves, and we can then allow other people to devalue us. Confident people, as I've said, seek to attract the outcome they want. They focus on the strengths that they bring to a situation. How often do we focus on our strengths? I wonder if, as an exercise, I asked everybody here to write down 10 positive things about themselves. Could you do it? Could you write 10 positive things, either that you like about yourself, qualities that you have, skills that you have, things that you've won, things that you've achieved? Could you write 10 positive things about yourself? As an exercise, maybe after this, it wouldn't be a bad thing to do. And if you can, pin them up on your fridge door. Pin them up where you can see them. Because every time then you go to the negative, you can go to those 10 things and say, but I have been confident here and I have succeeded here, so I can succeed again. Because confident people focus on the strengths they bring to a situation. They know what they can do, they know what they need to learn, they know what they can deliver, they know what they need to prepare. They've had success before, and if you've been successful before, and if you've been confident before, you can draw on these experiences to attract success again. So, briefly then, just in your own heads, ask yourself the following question. What areas of my life am I confident in? It's a very simple question, but you'd be surprised how many people struggle with this. If they don't consider themselves confident, they don't think they're confident in other areas. But confidence can be a confidence in cooking. It can be a confidence in communicating. It can be a confidence in being a good friend, a good wife, a good husband, a good son, a good daughter. It can be confident in anything. So we all have areas that we're confident in. we just don't consider them. We don't sit down to think about them. We're more likely to go to the areas that we think we're not confident in. And therefore then we grow in this belief that that's it. We're not confident. Why would you ask yourself this question? It goes back to what I was saying briefly earlier. It's an important question because we're all confident at some things. But even the most confident people have off days. It's how we deal with them that's important. So for instance, I'm confident at what I do. I'm confident in my job. I'm confident I'm a good friend. But if you handed me a piece of wood and a nail, I wouldn't be that confident. I've told the story on these sessions before of at 17 in a woodwork class, we were asked to make a crucifix. 2 pieces of wood, one down, one across. And in truth, without being blasphemous, Jesus Christ would have had to have been severely disabled to fit in my crucifix because it looked like a demented swastika. 2 pieces of wood, and I couldn't get that right because that's not where my strengths lie. So obviously carpentry was out of the question. But the question is, we are all confident at some things. So what are you confident in? Keep that question. What areas are you confident in? Think about that. It will begin to grow your confidence. Basically, it's a bit like when a therapist says to you, you know, you have to let that go. And you're sitting there waiting for them to say, well, how do I let this go? And they sit and smile at you and hum. You know, you have to let this go. They never explain what letting go is. And often when we come on these sessions, we just assume that everybody knows where we're at and what we're talking about. So this is what confidence is from my perspective. Confidence is being positive about what you can do, not worrying about what you can't do, but having the will to learn. Positive about what you can do, not worrying about what you can't do, but having the will to learn. There are controllables in life and there are uncontrollables. And if a situation is something that you can control, well, why worry about it? If it's a situation you can't control, what's the point of worrying about it? You can't control it. So confidence is positivity about the self, what you can do, not worrying about what you can't do, but being open to learn. I then imagine that confidence is a wheel, and self-confidence is the oil that turns your wheels in the relationship between you, your capabilities, your skills, your talents, and your potential. How many of us sit down to think about our capabilities, our talents, our skills, and our potential? How many of us do that? How many of us take time to build up our own confidence? How many of us are confident in our own abilities? How many of us can recognize our skills and talents and capabilities? How many of us are open to our own potential? These are not something that stops between, 20 to 45. These go on and on and on throughout our life. We grow, we develop, we deepen our skills, we deepen our abilities, we open ourselves to new things. I'm 55 today. And even now at 55, I have not learned everything. And I still have an absolute appetite for pursuing what I can do and pursuing new things. And this is important. Age is not a cap on recognizing these things. Age is not a cap in opening ourselves up or showing our talents that maybe we have hidden or that we don't consider to be talents or skills at all. Start thinking about what is confidence to you and what makes you self-confident. It can be your relationships, it can be your friendships, it can be those you love, it can be your work, it can be your hobbies, it can be your pets. Think about what confidence and self-confidence is to you. Identify your personal resources, and that's really what we've been talking about in the first set of slides. Identify your personal resources. What do you do well? What would you like to do well? What would you like to grow in? What would you like to develop? If you put confidence in the middle of this, and say we start off at the top, you are confident. Then if you are confident, that will show. It can be quiet, it doesn't need to be loud, and I'll explain that later. People will have confidence in you Consequently, if you're confident and people have confidence in you, your confidence will increase. And then, a bit like an oil tank, you'll store your confidence. You'll build up a store of confidence. And the thing about that is, on the days that you don't feel that confidence, and the days that you're not sure, you can visit that store of confidence and you can remind yourself who you are and what a confident version of you looks like. And we will consider that as well. So be confident. People will have confidence in you. Your confidence will increase. You then have a store of confidence to draw on the days that you're not just hitting the mark or at yourself. What is true confidence? True confidence is what I would describe as a quiet state, and it begins on the inside. We become confident. We overcome our doubts and our fear of failure. We stop worrying about what others are thinking about us because we may have a strong and confident opinion of ourselves. Now, you're probably sitting there going, oh, that's all very well, not to have any doubts and not to have a fear of failure. Everybody has these things. It's how we deal with them. We can allow them to take over. We can allow them to run our days, weeks, and months. Or we can acknowledge, I have a doubt about this. And the only question you have to ask about that then is a one-word question. Why? And then if you move on from the why to, right, what's my evidence? I've talked before in sessions about having evidence for our thoughts, our feelings, and our perceptions. Why? What's my evidence for how I'm thinking? Why am I worrying about what others are thinking? Some people you're going to please, other people you're not going to please. In the middle of that is you. And so long as you are doing what you do and can do well, thoughtfully, taking into account respect for yourselves and respect for others, what other people think is literally gloriously irrelevant. It's gloriously irrelevant, not in an arrogant way, but in a way that you know that you are doing the best that you can to the best of your ability and the best of your skills and talents. Don't seek perfection. It doesn't exist outside of heaven. People that go for perfection will only drive themselves and run themselves ragged. So here's another little hook, another little, I suppose, model. Create a happy list. In order to focus on the positive, make a list of all the good things in your life. All the good things that you can do, all the gifts and talents that you recognize in yourself. It could be as simple as cooking or playing the spoons. It could be playing the piano. It could be making people laugh. It could be being a calm presence. It could be somebody that is able to bring a whole group together. Look at all the good things you can do, all the gifts and talents you recognize in yourself, or in fact, ask others what gifts and talents they recognize in you as an exercise. All your achievements. Your achievement can go right back to your first swimming badge if you swim. It can go right back to the first exam you passed. It can go right back to the first medal you won for singing, dancing, or whatever. Worry pretends to be necessary, but it serves no useful purpose. Worry is there to get us to focus on something in the same way that anxiety and fear is there to get us to focus on something. And initially, they're all very positive, unless we don't focus on the things that we need to focus on. But worry is not necessary, and it serves no useful purpose. If you can control it, why worry? If you can't control it, what's the point in worrying? So look at creating a happy list, for instance. True confidence isn't loud. True confidence isn't striding about. True confidence is quiet. Being able to know what you can do, being sure of it, being confident on it. And even when you're anxious or worried, being able to do it anyway. Here is an exercise in visualization. Have you ever imagined a more confident you? Have you ever imagined yourself in another job or doing another thing? You could have imagined yourself as a singer, an actor, a dancer, a doctor, a nurse, an expert. We're able to visualize a confident version of ourselves. And what I mean by that is, don't get bogged down in the what ifs. If you close your eyes as an exercise and think, what would the most confident version of me look like? How would I sound? How would I be standing? How would I be dressed? Who would be around me? Where would I be? What sort of car would I drive? What sort of house would I be in? What would the most confident version of me look like? Would I have a different hairstyle? Would I have hair? Would I not have hair? What would the most confident version of you look like? So if you were to close your eyes for a few minutes, not now obviously because you'll nod off and you'll miss all the good stuff. If you were to close your eyes and imagine and visualize the more confident you, if you were to sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, focus on your breathing, build a picture in your head of how a more confident version of you would look and act. Where are you? Who's with you? Notice the details. Enjoy the feeling of confidence you will feel inside when you begin to do this. Take this image with you and set it as something that you would aspire to. Often, it's a bit like your first boyfriend or girlfriend. You know, if your first boyfriend or girlfriend was not a good kisser, did you tell them they weren't a good kisser? Well, my first girlfriend was called Marion. And no, I didn't tell her she wasn't a good kisser, because I wanted to kiss her more and maybe move on from that to other areas of life. So a bit like in a situation like that, you fake it until you make it. You act confident. You seem confident. You stand confidently. I'm 6'3". If I bend over, I look ridiculous. If I hunch over, I look ridiculous. So at 6'3", I have to stand up. Straight away, my posture suggests confidence. So it's visualizing the more confident you. It's taking this image and trying to aspire to it. It's taking the feeling of confidence that you feel and living out of it. Another thing that we can do is we can look at what confident people do. Now, not as a comparison, because comparison kills confidence, but we can look at what confident people do and we can mimic what they do until it becomes second nature for ourselves. So just as an exercise, maybe at some point, visualize a more confident version of yourself. We all go to this place because this is where the brain takes us every time, whether we're in good health, bad health, good mental health, bad mental health, good emotional or physical health, or bad emotional health. Always question your negative thoughts with why. And I mentioned this earlier. Why do I think like this? Where is my concrete evidence for my thinking? Whose voice am I hearing when I'm being self-critical? And at that, we always say it's our own voice, except to become self-critical, we have had to be criticized. So why do I think like this? Why do I criticize myself? Where is my concrete evidence for my thinking? Reverse your thinking. Look at it from another perspective. Think at it from another direction. The problem is we think we are at the mercy of our thinking, and you do not need to be at the mercy of your thinking. Stop, hit the pause button, step back, breathe, ask why, and then move forward. Where is my evidence? Take a space. Don't panic. Take time to breathe, to think, to consider. And then ask yourself, do I have to live out of this? Does this serve me well? No, it doesn't serve me well. Do you know what? I'm going to come at this from another direction, and I'm going to take time to think about it. We are not in a constant hurry. We don't need to be in a constant hurry. Take time to yourself and challenge your negative thinking. Imagination. I'm massive in imagination. That's why I would always say visualization. I work with a lot of sports people as well, boxers, rugby players, footballers, athletes, gymnasts, you know, all these people that make you sick because they're fit. Well, they make me sick. Use your imagination. I talked about body posture earlier. Use positive body posture and pose. Act confident even if you're feeling anxious. And when you're saying things, Be assertive in how you say them. Don't apologize. Don't let your tone be apologetic. Say things like you mean them. An awful lot of people aren't great with eye contact, but hold eye contact. It becomes much easier when you hold eye contact. Model the habits of highly confident people. People maybe that you admire. People that you look like and think, I could be like that. The thing is, you could just be like that. There's no if. You could be like that. The if can be removed. And if you can find the most confident version of yourself, you'll not have to model the habits of highly confident people. You'll be one of the highly confident people, and others will model their habits in you. Just imagine now how your life would look if you were confident right now. Imagine that right now. How would your life look if you were confident right now? What would your posture be like? How would you stand? How would you move? How would your voice sound? What would you say to yourself? What would you picture in your own mind? When you do this, imagine then you are this person. Step into their shoes. See the world through confident eyes. Do it often enough. I promise you, you'll forget that you're acting confident, and your confidence will become a habit. Imagine you as this person. Imagine standing in their shoes. See the world through confident eyes. Do it often enough, and confidence will be a habit. It's not like Billy Connolly saying, you know, if you want to know my life, walk in my shoes for a mile. And then he followed it up with, of course, if you walk in their shoes for a mile, it doesn't matter because you're a mile away from them and you have a new pair of shoes. That's not the point. The point is to be confident. We have to seem confident. We have to act confident. We have to imagine ourselves as the most confident man, woman that we are. And once the acting stops, it will become a habit. And as I said, these are just such brief sort of considerations. There's so much more to the subject of confidence. Experience versus appearance. It's not healthy for anybody's self-esteem to be rooted in their appearance. Yes, we all have very beautiful or very good looking friends. Yes, they're all great physical specimens, and that's amazing. But you know what? After a while, physical specimens begin to sag. Boobs go down to your knees, pecs go down to your belly button, your muscles droop, you just don't look the same. Our physical appearance changes rapidly. It can be negatively affected by many things. I mean, look at me, I'm only 12. It can be negatively affected by many things. And definitions of beauty vary from person to person. Choose something more stable to be proud of. Experience and accomplishments cannot be taken away. They won't fade. They will remain as experiences and accomplishments. If our self-esteem is rooted in those, I mean, it's great if you are good looking and handsome and beautiful and all of those things, absolutely enjoy it. But for the long term, for the rest of the race, experience and accomplishments achieved cannot be taken away. They are yours. They are the things that you remember. Those are the things that you go back to. That's your store of confidence that you go to when you're taking on a new challenge. Do things with your life that you are proud of. Now, this is advice for anybody of any age, whether you're young, teenage, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. If you see somebody who seems to do everything in life that you want to do, what is stopping you to go and do those things? What is it that stops you doing that? Because you should go and do those things too. What is the voice that you hear? What is the worry, the fear that holds you back? There are lots of different ways and lots of different things to do. So choose something that you think is rewarding and important for you that may benefit others. I assure you this will go further than anything else to raise your self-esteem. It doesn't have to be a great drama. It doesn't have to be a 3-act opera. It can be something small but significant. What in your life are you proud of? What would you like to do that would make you more proud of your life? If you know there are things that you would like to do, and there's something that blocks you or stops you doing it, stop and ask yourself, what is it? What's stopping me doing this? Can I do something about it? Yes, I can. Go and do something about it. Absolutely. This will go further than anything else to raise your self-esteem. And your self-esteem runs hand in hand with your self-confidence, your self-awareness, and your self-acceptance, and your self-respect. There we go. That's a clue, Peter. Developing myself. We all tend to love to please others. We tend to do an awful lot to keep other people happy, to keep the peace, to keep everything going. Your life is exactly that. It's your life. You should be living your life and doing things so that you are happy, not to please anybody and everybody else. If we start off from a belief that that's where we have to start, looking after and meeting everybody else's needs and wants, we will never meet our needs. We will always be at the bottom of the pile. We will always keep ourselves at the back of the line. I'm not saying dance on other people's heads. What I'm saying is recognize your value and your worth. You can't please everybody. And it's absolutely true, you can't please everybody. So don't expect to try to make everybody happy all the time. You'll be a nervous wreck. If you go that direction, you'll be a nervous wreck. What's important to you? If you start with yourself as the building block, and you know what makes you happy, and you know what meets your needs, and try to live according to what you believe is right and good, you will be able to do this for other people. And you'll be able to do it for other people because you're doing it for yourself first. If you don't do it for yourself first, you get lost. I don't mean get lost. I'm not saying to you, go and get lost. You will get lost in that. Most importantly, I think you will develop the greater sense of self-worth when you stop trying to please the popular crowd and you start trying to please yourself. Not in a selfish sense, in a self-care sense. If pleasing yourself means that you want to have a lot of you want to have a lot of friends, then do things that make other people want to be friends with you by accomplishing great things and being a wonderful person. But I assure you that we, at the end of our days, will come to the realization we will count our closest, most valuable, most intimate friends on a couple of fingers on one hand. People come into our lives for a reason, a season, and a time. Very few are there for the duration. Very few are there to the end. But for a reason, a season, or a time. And a season and a time, we show them the most authentic self that we are. They will like that, or they will be challenged by that, or they will be troubled by that. But they're seeing us as we are, rather than us trying to be what they want us to be. You know, I hear like, don't try to make friends by wearing the right clothes or getting into trouble. People that spend time with you for these reasons aren't really your friends and will only end up hurting you on the long run. Please others by first pleasing yourself. Meet the needs of others by first meeting the needs of yourself, then sharing your experiences, your skills, your talents, and your capabilities in a way that they will benefit. Look inward and look outward. Explore your passions. Figure out who you are. What makes you happy? What do you care about? What do you find interesting? Do you think a particular look is cool? Have you always wanted to learn how to dance, paint, crochet, knit, act, sing, play the piano? What is barring you from pursuing these things that you are passionate about? And what is barring you pursuing the things that are passionate about you? Find people who understand you. Best way to deal with the harder aspects of life is to have great friends. Great friends remind you how fun and wonderful you really are. To keep your self-esteem high, find friends who understand and like you for who you really are. That's so important. Good friends should like a lot of the same things. There's an old saying, and it's probably the same everywhere: show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. Our friends aren't going to like everything that we like, and they're not going to like everything about us. But that's the reason they are our friends. They choose us despite our warts and all. They choose to be our friends. Don't be friends with the negative. Don't be friends with people that drag you down. They make you feel bad about yourself. They blow your candle out so their light shines the brighter. You shouldn't be friends with people like that. Friends should bring out the best in us, not the worst. Assertiveness. This is with confidence as well, assertiveness. Don't just let people push you around. Don't give in to the desires of everybody around you, as I've just chatted about. It's good to try and make people happy. It is, absolutely. And it's good not to be self-centered, absolutely. But you need to focus on you and being your own person. Being assertive, standing up for what's right for you, will do a lot for your self-confidence and self-esteem. If you respect yourself, you will tend to respect others. And that will be reciprocated. They will respect you. But first and foremost, it's another self. It's another self to add self-confidence, self-esteem, self-awareness. Practice your self-respect. Affirmations. Tell yourself every single day that you're a good person. Write 2 things about yourself in the morning that you like. You have something to offer each and every day. You can do things uniquely that nobody else can do. You can handle challenges that life throws at you. You can be better and happier. You will love others and you will love yourself. You will always do your best. All of these things are true if you let them be true. If you buy into the confidence of these things. You just have to be willing. We all have to be willing to put in the work. Remind yourself and remind all of us that these are the things that every day will make you feel better about yourself. And we go back to your skills, your talents, your capabilities, your potentials. Sometimes it may not feel like these things are true or possible, but they are. If you feel like you don't have anything unique to offer the world, and you just haven't found out what it is yet, because each and every single one of us are unique. We are none of us the same. If you don't feel like you're a good person, give yourself the opportunity to be a good person. Sometimes it takes work to change the way we feel about ourselves if we don't like ourselves. Sometimes it takes a while to change that critical voice in our head to allow us to recognize we are all good people. We are all kind people. We are all worthy people. We do things that make other people feel good, and we do things that make ourselves feel good. Take time to make yourself into a person that makes you happy. If there are areas you're not happy with, challenge them. Ask yourself why. Ask, are the areas that you wanted to be happy in, or ask yourself, are you doing this for another person? Are you doing this because mum and dad said something growing up, or brothers and sisters, or teachers? Listen to that critical voice and challenge it. Challenge it every time. Why? Where is my evidence? I am a good person. I have skills and talents. This is what I do. This is what I do well. Affirm yourself. Just write 2 positive things about yourself every day. It can be, I feel, I need, I want, I believe, I am sure. But I suppose I finish on this because this is only the beginning of a process of learning how to be confident. To be and learn to be confident, we have to learn how to be silent with ourselves. We have to learn to turn off the inner critic. We have to learn to be close to hearing the authentic voice, our authentic voice. Remember what it was like when you first heard your voice taped. And I'm sure now as I say that, people are cringing and going, because we never sound the way we think we sound. We seldom seem to others the way we seem to ourselves. We seldom sound to others the way we sound to ourselves. And so hear your own heart and soul. Take time to stop, to think, to just be silent. Because as the song Listen Here, which I quote here, says, when you are still, do you hear one small voice, crystal clear, saying, listen here, my friend, listen here. Well, that voice is your own, and it speaks to you alone. You can count on me, it says. So listen here. This is you. This is real. This is truly the way you feel. Confidence is revealed. It is already there. It needs to be blown on a bit like eggs. It needs to be fertilized. But it is there in each of us. All it takes is a step forward, a deep breath, and stepping into the future. Because you are and you have a very confident person inside you. And isn't it time that we're let loose to breathe? Thank you very much for listening to me this morning. And if you have any questions or any thoughts or anything that you don't agree with, please hit away and let me know.